We're a comedy news podcast bringing you the latest and greatest hits from across the Seven Kingdoms. My name's Chris Bolson. What's your name?
My name is Alison Hoare. And did you know, according to time.is, that
Yes.
it's World Penguin Day? I just noticed that then.
That's extremely good because in Australia it's War Day today. And I think that Penguin Day is a nicer occasion.
Yeah.
I'd rather think about penguins than, violence.
Yeah, I didn't know it was World Penguin Day today.
That's extremely good.
World Penguin Day, yeah. Thursday, 25th of April is World Penguin Day. It's observed the world over on the April 25th. World Penguin Day recognises one of the unique birds on the planet. There are 17 species of penguin, and all of their natural habitats are in the southern hemisphere. There you go.
So if you know any penguins, I hope you remembered to get them a gift today, because otherwise they're going to be very, very slighted.
They will be very angry.
If you didn't eat some fish and then go and vomit it up in your penguin friend's mouth, then what kind of penguin friend even are you?
Well, that would be that's a very rude thing, not to vomit your food into a penguin's mouth.
Exactly. Do you have something to start us off with today, Alison? That's not
Aside from World
Day.
Penguin Day. No, I just noticed that as I was clapping. I'm like, oh, that's an exciting day to recognise. Yeah, no, this is just a funny thing I noticed today, actually. I'll get into the bigger biff of the news today. Did you see that the Daily Telegraph accidentally printed 2 pages of the Sydney Morning Herald in its newspaper?
I did, and interestingly, they were the best 2 pages in the newspaper.
How does such a thing happen? How do you print 2 pages of your competitor's paper in your paper?
Well, there's 2 ways to answer this question. There's the way...
The boring way, in that they are printed in the same factory.
Or there's the heist way, which is the editor of the Sydney Morning Herald, whose name I totally know, and I'm going to say is Tim McGraw. He had to sneak in to the Daily Mail, not even the factory, but sneak into their offices where they have the one PDF.
Yeah.
Of the Daily Telegraph, sorry, not the Daily Mail. No, actually, wait. I'm going to say he thought it was the Daily Mail, but he got it wrong.
It took you a while to get there.
He got it wrong because he can't read the difference between the letters M and T. And he broke into the Daily Telegraph headquarters and he edited their PDF so that their newspapers would have the Sydney Morning Herald opinion section.
Sure.
In my head, that was a lot funnier than it came out as.
Well,
and that's all I have to say about that.
But I was like, in the spirit of news biffs, I was looking through the Port News earlier today to find some, funny little stories for the podcast. Yeah. And I got into the local news section, as I generally tend to do, because that's where all the good stuff for this podcast is located.
It's our bread and butter.
And I scrolled on through to page 3 of the local news section, and let me just go through some of these headlines that I can see here. So let's go down to the 4th one on the page. It's by Mike Foley. It says, Coalition pledges to lock up militant activists. Okay, and the 5th one down is by Vivian Jones, and it's Murray-Darling Basin Plan protesters want to pause the plan. And then the 6th one down, a really original story, is by Vivian Jones, and it says Murray-Darling Basin Plan protesters want to pause the plan. And the 7th one down, it may surprise you, is also by Vivian Jones, and it says Murray-Darling Basin Plan protesters want to pause the plan.
Vivian, you hit upload too many times. Alison, at time of recording, does it still say that?
Yes.
Jesus, dudes.
I have
That's
refreshed
rough.
this page, page 3 of the local section of the Port News, a bunch of times just to check that it wasn't my browser. And
should we tell them?
It's still there.
It's still there.
It's
still like that.
Still got a bunch of the same story.
I suppose
a bunch of times.
I suppose it is a public holiday. You have to cut them some slack.
suppose there's not a lot of people scrolling through to, like, page 3 of the local news section.
I actually think you might have been the first person to ever reach that page. So
scrolling through that far back.
It's never been reported because it's never been seen before.
Oh yeah, no one's got that far back in it.
Either that, or Vivian just really wants us to know about the activists, and she went
Vivian really...
She went over her editor's head.
Yeah, she had to publish that story a bunch of times.
Either that, or, like, my mouse at work, if I click it, sometimes it'll double-click accidentally, so maybe Vivian just has that problem. She doesn't know how to undo.
They don't know how to delete stories off their website.
Their system is designed to encourage people to really think about what they do before they do it, because once you publish something, you can't remove it. It's not a good system.
Yeah, it's a very, very sad situation. Oh, dear. Anyway, so that was just a little funny thing that I noticed when I was scrolling through looking for stories.
Tidbit. If anyone at the Port Macquarie
News is listening to this,
check your shit.
Check that you haven't uploaded the same story a few times.
God damn it, Vivian. Do you have a Reglia story to start us off with?
Yeah, let's get political, shall we?
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, sure.
This is something that you've definitely read as well, but I think our listeners need to know about this one. So as you know, we've got an election coming up, because we always have an election coming up in this here country of elections.
It's fucking endless.
And leadership changes. We've got to always have an election to keep us on our toes.
This one is allegedly election endgame, but I'll believe that shit when I see it.
I don't think there's ever an election endgame. I think it would just keep coming. But this is like the penultimate one, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one more, like a secret one.
Election Infinity War, half the population of the politicians will die. Actually, that'd be... look.
Well...
It'd be palatable, I'll say that much.
It'd be a tolerable movie. But as you know, our dear leaders are on the election trail trying to win the votes. And, of course, they have a lot of journalists following them, tracking their every moment and snapping pictures of their every moment.
Now, I think I know exactly what story you're talking about. I just want to shout out to Marianne, who also submitted this story to me.
Did she really? It's a great story. It's been floating a lot around the internet.
Marianne, my unpaid researcher, thank you so much for all the work you do.
Our dear leader, Scott Morrison, was on the campaign trail, and a photojournalist for the Australian Associated Press managed to snap a photo with a fly crawling in his mouth as he was speaking. And it's quite a disgusting photo. It's
not good, both in terms of the fly and also the level of closeness to Scott Morrison's open mouth.
Would you like to describe the photo for our audience who cannot see this in this non-visual medium?
Let me just pull this shit up. So I can.
It's a very close picture.
It's
a very intimate portrait of his face.
It's very intimate in a way that I don't love. So I found this on 10 Daily, and by found I mean it was sent to me.
Yeah.
So the image. So
the image in question.
Scott Morrison only has a couple different expressions.
Yes.
This one is the one that looks like he's mid shout, but also mid shit.
Okay.
So his lips are pursed, like he's just sort of started to speak. His teeth are, if I don't say so myself, quite crooked.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay.
That's okay. I'm just saying that
it's just not something you like to see in such a close-up image.
No, and also I'm just saying that I recently went to the dentist and I was told that my teeth are basically perfect. So
well, that's un-Australian, so
I'm okay with that. If this is what our Prime Minister is, I'm happy to be un-Australian. So perched in between, in sort of the corner of his open lips, between his teeth that are sort of not quite clenched shut but slightly apart, is a
fly,
an object, an insect. It has a red, like thorax kind of area. Yeah. Has a little black head. Has wings. It has 6 insectoid legs.
Yeah, just perched there on the teeth.
I will also say this. I can see every single pore on Scott Morrison's face in this photo, and I object to all of them.
I think the thing that's like, there's a lot of disturbing things, and one of the disturbing things is the fact there's a fly in his mouth. The other is that you can start to see, because it's such a close-up picture...
The makeup of his face.
You can see the hair breaching through the skin, where the hair should grow out of to make a moustache. I can see a red dot on the tip of his nose, like the beginning of a zit that he hasn't covered up yet. Technology has gone too far. And that's basically what this pedestrian daily rundown of the story, that's the crux of this story, is that I read the headline and I agree 100% with this headline. The fly inside Scott Morrison's mouth is proof technology has gone too far. This is by Ben McClay. And I do think this is quite a funny story. So I'll read out a little bit of his write-out about this story.
Can I just quickly interject? I figured out how to describe it perfectly. The expression is the expression of someone who's got a piece of hay in the side of their mouth. But it's instead of a hay, it's a fly. It's a fly instead of a hay, yeah. So the story goes, this is what Ben McClay for Pedestrian has written. There is no objectively correct set of rules for reporting on politicians. Some people will tell you that it is always off limits to report on their private lives. Others will tell you that it's fine if their private lives in some way contradict the political views they claim to hold. These things are more of a question of personal ethics than anything else. One of my personal beliefs is that embarrassing photos of politicians are often a bit of a low blow. Something done on purpose knowing it will be captured for video, absolutely fine. A single photo taken between facial expressions where it looks like they've been possessed exorcist style, a bit much for me. Maybe it's because I don't photograph well. Maybe it's because I know there's something devastating about seeing a photo which depicts you in a much more negative light than your already poor self-image. Maybe it's because I know that you can take 100 photos of someone doing anything and at least a handful of them will look truly awful despite not reflecting anything about what they're doing or who they are. Who knows? Yeah. What I'm saying is it doesn't necessarily reflect on Scott Morrison that he was photographed with a fly crawling on his teeth. But what I am also saying is, Jesus fucking Christ, Scott Morrison was photographed with a fucking fly crawling on his teeth. Oh, pedestrian.
I like the lead up to that.
Yes. Do you think that because this fly, let's be clear, this fly assaulted the Australian Prime Minister, does that count as an act of war?
Maybe. But here's the thing, and this story has particularly brought up that 10 Daily did, in fact, in their biased political reporting, refuse to include. Pedestrian has decided, in the interest of balance, to include a picture of Bill Shorten with a fly in similarly close proximity to his mouth. This one is a very uncomfortable close-up of opposition leader Bill Shorten with the same kind of visible pores and every notch of his skin is visible. And his lips are slightly open, as if he's mid-word, and his teeth are not quite as gritted as Scott Morrison, and he doesn't look like he's got a hay there. But perched right on the bottom lip, about to enter the open zone, is a fly.
On the 10 Daily story, they had linked a tweet where someone said they took the original image and they said enhance, and then they zoomed into it. And then they said enhance one more time, and then it was an image of Jerry Seinfeld's character from the Bee Movie. And I choose to believe that all insects do have the voice of Jerry Seinfeld, and that the bee landed on Scott Morrison's open mouth and said, "What's the deal with these teeth?" And that sounded more like Christopher Walken.
That was not a good Jerry Seinfeld impression.
No, but it was a very good Christopher Walken. So
yeah, well,
maybe they can have his voice instead.
Is that how he does comedy? I haven't seen a stand-up comedy, but basically,
I've
Ben
never
McClay,
seen Christopher Walken do stand-up, but that would be great.
Well, I'd like to see that. But Ben McClay basically gets to the lesson of the story here, and that is that technology has indeed gone too far. It said, The human body was never meant to have this level of scrutiny applied to it. Our psychology didn't form in an environment with high-resolution sensors and powerful zoom lenses. We were simply never meant to see Scott Morrison's mouth up this close. And even more than that, we were never meant to see that mouth with a fly in it. And I think that's the lesson of the day, is that whoever invented digital zoom lenses did a disservice to everyone's self-esteem.
I'll say this. In my dating life experience, there has been a consistent theme of me dating people who wear glasses.
Sure.
And it's possible that that's just that I have a type. But it's also possible that I would prefer people who, if they're going to be very close to me in an intimate context, can't actually see me properly.
Can't see every single pore and crevice of skin. Which I can see on...
Because I'll say there is a lot of pores and crevices and skin on my face.
Yeah,
me too.
Ideal. One of my friends really loves taking photos at every Quidditch event, going around with the camera, taking lots of photos. And I remember once he took this nice snap. Well, he said it was a nice snap of me, and he showed me. And it was a zoom in of my face mid-word, and I could see every crevice and pore and little bit of plaque on my teeth. And it was literally the most horrifying thing that I've ever seen, because I've never looked at my face that close before.
Faces have a lot of crevices, don't they?
Faces are, like, filled with crevices, and it's not making me feel very comfortable.
Can I say that if you have a beard, that adds thousands of extra crevices to your face and thousands of extra things to fuck up that you have to constantly be monitoring. And whilst I'm glad I have my beard because it means that I no longer get asked for ID at the bottle shop.
Sure.
It is a lot more work than not having a beard.
So what you're saying is that if I don't want to be ID'd at my tender age of 27, I should be growing a beard.
Well, Alison, you were ID'd at the tender age of 27 because you dress predominantly in bright pink. But, so yes, essentially. But I don't know if that would counteract
If I grew
the
a
clothes.
beard, I feel like it would counteract that.
Because
I'll be like, oh, my apologies, sir, come right in.
What if you dyed
I thought you were a
your beard
16-year-old
pink as well?
girl, but then I saw your beard, and my apologies, sir, come right in.
It would be a cool look, I'll say that much. I'd think you were pretty hip.
I would look pretty sweet with a beard.
I think so.
But I don't like my pores on show when you photograph my beard.
No one does. Can I give you a story?
Regale me with another tale of...
So I'm gonna give two sort of stories. One of them is just a story that I have that is good.
Sure.
One of them is a bit more metatextual.
Okay, that's interesting. I like a bit of metatextualness.
So this is... Marianne sent me 3 stories this week. One was the one you've just rudely stolen from me.
Yeah, well, thank you. No worries.
One was the
Anytime.
One was the one I'll detail in a moment. But another one was this. So she found a post on Meme Hub, the Facebook page.
Meme Hub. Oh, I've literally heard of nothing worse than what I just heard right then. A Facebook page called Meme Hub.
You really shouldn't have said that, because the headline for this Daily Mail article is "Man takes a dump down a woman's chimney after she blocked him on popular dating site wildsmash.com."
Popular dating site wildsmash.com? Am I that out of touch with the youths that I've never heard of this?
It arose some suspicions. So... Marianne, if I look in my messages from Marianne,
yes.
There's one that says, Marianne removed a message because Facebook blocked it. Which was, unfortunately, it was, but unfortunately, it's probably just an ad for wildsmash.com. And then...
I feel like calling it a popular dating site when no one's heard of it is probably a little bit suspicious.
Facebook says, your message could not be shared because the link goes against our community standards. If you think this shouldn't go against our community standards, let us know if you want us to let wildsmash.com through.
I do not want to let wildsmash.com through.
No, I think that's for the best.
No, I don't want that breaching breaching through my messages.
No. So now the actual story that I have that is not involving wildsmash.com.
Yeah, I don't want wildsmash.com stories.
This story is from The Scotsman reporter.
Okay.
Scottish farmer pranks tourists by claiming sheep are tartan because they drink urn brew.
Oh dear.
A cheeky farmer is winding up American tourists by spray painting her sheep tartan and claiming it's caused by the animals drinking urn brew. Owner Maxine Scott, 62, used her skills with a spray can to brighten up Ew's April and Daisy. So, for those of you who, like me, didn't initially know what tartan is, it's...
You don't know what tartan is? How do you not know what tartan is? You went to a private school.
Well, that was it was an attack that I've just received.
It's just like tartan is the basic private school uniform pattern.
Alison, I just think that we should try and be like an inclusive and open-minded podcast, and that we shouldn't judge people for not knowing what tartan is.
But you admitted you don't know what tartan is.
I know I admitted that I don't know what tartan is.
I really am shocked to hear this.
I'm sorry, at my private school we wore khaki Steve Owen outfits, which is worse.
Yeah, that is quite worse. We wore tartan skirts.
All right, because people already... people are going to find this out at some point. My private school outfit, and I do not say this with any semblance of pride, was a pair of khaki shorts, a khaki short-sleeve collared shirt, a pair of long khaki socks, like knee-height khaki socks,
this is a hard listen,
a blue and white striped tie and a blue and white striped blazer, and, as a capper, an Akubra hat.
Nothing sounds more disgusting to me than a matching khaki shirt and shorts with a tie.
With a tie, that is accurate.
Just, could you pick, now, to our audience, picture Steve Irwin with his shirt buttoned up to the top wearing a tie, and that's Chris.
Yeah, so it's not going to surprise any of our listeners to learn that I was not sexually active in high school. I'm glad we go with the story. So... tartan is like a red and sort of black... It's basically like red checkered pattern.
It's the pattern that you imagine on a Scottish kilt.
Yeah, so this woman has spray painted her sheep kilt coloured.
Sure.
She puts up a sign pretending the sheep turn that colour naturally, and the wool is then used to make tartan wool for kilts and blankets.
Do people believe this?
Apparently. They live on the Orangak Wildlife Centre, Comrie, Perth.
That was a good Scottish accent.
Thank you, I try. And are decorated using marker spray used by farmers to identify sheep during lamb numbering.
Oh.
A sign on their pen explains that their diet consists of mainly grass, but they are known to enjoy urn brew and Scottish tablet or shortbread. Now, I don't actually know what urn brew is. So
urn brew is like a soft drink.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like a cola style thing that's famous in Scotland.
I'm glad that you've done more research on my stories than I have.
They sell urn brew at the Coles near me, Coles Lane Cove. Hit
really?
up.
Well, I already went to private school once, so I don't need to turn tartan coloured in my adulthood.
No, but if you drink it, you can become, yeah.
So Maxine says, when we got the park, they always had tartan sheep. It was just for the tourists. We continued the tradition. The public do like it. Americans are really impressed by them.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Of course they are.
We've got a sign up saying that lambs come out normal, but they change as they grow older and tartan starts to develop. A jokey sign explains, a spectacular sight to see. Tartan sheep were first discovered here at Orangak many years ago. When sheared, the wool can be used to make tartan
Your
kilts.
Scottish accent's becoming gradually worse the more I listen to it.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
I'll stop then. When sheared, their wool can be used to make tartan kilts, scarves, and blankets. As a lamb, they will... Yeah. So there's not a huge amount more, just outside of this idea of spray painting sheep tartan and me talking about my private school uniform.
My private school uniform, we had a kind of a grey-scale tartan skirt, and a white shirt that was a little bit see-through, just enough to make you, a teenage girl, uncomfortable.
Awesome.
Because your shirt is... You're able to see your bra through your shirt. A kind of burgundy red tie and a navy blue straw hat with a burgundy red ribbon around it.
As in dyed straw?
Like a blue straw hat, yes.
What the fuck?
It's a navy blue straw hat.
Now, okay. I think mine is worse.
Yeah, well, I
Yours is
didn't
not
have to
great.
wear Steve Irwin.
You didn't have to wear Steve Irwin with a tie.
But I did have to wear a see-through shirt.
That's true. In winter, I had to wear a see-through shirt.
That's really good, isn't it? Isn't it great that we make our teen kids wear see-through shirts to school?
I really like how we've spent 40-odd episodes trying to make ourselves seem relatable to our audience. Now we're just talking about our experiences in private school. That's really going to help.
Now we're just talking about, how much we went to private school. Look, here's the thing.
I'm quite poor now.
We both went to private schools in country areas. It doesn't really count as much as in the city.
And also, I now live in, squalor, so...
You've been to my house. We still have our Christmas tree up.
Actually,
and it's
that's
April.
True. You had a CRT television up till, a month ago.
Yeah. Look, I'm not super relatable. I'm a little bit out of touch with the youths. I don't understand Fortnite, for example.
No.
But I did have a crappy school uniform. But in our defence, for our international audience, every school, even public schools in Australia, you must wear a school uniform.
Except in Canberra, because they're special.
Do they not have to wear school uniforms in Canberra?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know.
Huh.
They also don't have to do... for us to get our licenses, we have to do 120 hours of supervised driving. They also don't have to do that in Canberra.
What's wrong with Canberra? Why is Canberra so special?
They just take a course and they get their license. Then they can do an exam and they don't have to use P-plates either.
Oh, well, aren't they lucky?
Basically. Do you have a story about something that's not private school or Canberra?
Well, let me just have a look here for a second.
Canberra is negotiable if it's funny.
Canberra, I don't have any Canberra stories.
Good, neither do I.
Okay, I do have a Marrickville story.
Oh.
If we want to go super local.
That's my old haunt, so yeah, let's do that.
And this story is not super new. It's from a couple of weeks ago, in fact.
That's all right.
But,
I'm always interested in what's going on up
and
in
what's going on in the west.
In the Ville?
In the Ville, yeah, in the Marrickville.
Both of them are bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
I'm going to say in Old Mazza. I'm going to call it Old Mazza.
We like to pretend that people in the inner city in this country are not, at risk of encountering snakes in their day-to-day lives. But this one is in fact about a boa constrictor in Marrickville.
What the shit?
Which is quite an inner city hipster area. Is not where you generally expect to see boa constrictors just hanging out in the street.
So did some dickhead just have a really stupid pet? That's my immediate guess.
Well, that's basically what it is. So this is from ABC News, and it says, illegal pet snake found in suburban Sydney street in Marrickville.
Oh my god, that would be terrifying.
It's just not ideal, but here's the thing. There's all these photos of all these Marrickville residents, including a young child, who's just posing next to the snake.
Fucking Marrickville.
One of the main photos that's here is just of the boa constrictor just chilling on the road, and everyone, all these kids are crowding around, got their cameras out. There's a mum standing there holding her young baby, to look at the boa constrictor that's in the street. There's some parents here with their little girl standing near the boa constrictor. It's a sight to be seen.
They all just thought it was an art installation. Somehow they were trying to figure out what it meant.
It's the newest Banksy.
Yeah. Marrickville's wanted one for years, and now they finally got their own snake Banksy.
So this is the story on ABC News. It goes, why did the snake cross the road? It sounds like the start of a bad joke, but it's the question residents of one inner west suburb...
It actually sounds like the start of a bad news story, but
it sounds
continue.
like a really bad way to start this. Like, here's how I would start this story. It's a fucking boa constrictor in Marrickville.
Yeah, I would open with, fuck me, a big snake.
There's a big snake in Marrickville.
That's a pretty good start, actually. There's a
and
big
then people
snake in
will be
Marrickville.
like, is this an innuendo? And then, no, it's just a big snake.
And then you say, no, it's a fucking huge snake, and you should be frightened of it.
It is. It's a large boy. It sounds like the start of a bad
Made the
joke.
innuendo worse, Alison.
But it's a question residents of one inner west suburb were asking yesterday after discovering a boa constrictor had slithered across a busy street. The 1.5 metre long reptile was discovered under a parked car on Myrtle Street in Marrickville. It is believed that the snake had crossed the road and its tail had been run over by a car.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know, the poor snake boy. Don't run over snakes.
Don't.
Marrickville resident Olivia Russet and her son, Guy Martin, 7, joined a group of about 50 people admiring the snake. She said that people were more fascinated than scared as they waited for the snake catcher to arrive.
How extremely dumb.
So I'm just picturing a group of 50 people standing in a busy street in Marrickville looking at a snake that has very sadly been run over by a car.
Did they not think that they would get boa constricted? Like, I feel like that's the logical outcome of this situation.
I think it's a babby boa constrictor. It's only 1.5 metres.
Oh, so it couldn't properly smush you. Okay, that makes sense.
But it could smush the Guy Martin, the 7-year-old who's commenting for this story.
Guy is a very high risk. But, you know, Guy, as one of the youths, is on Insta, and you've got to risk it all for the gram.
He's on Fortnite, you know. And he's seen worse things on Fortnite.
That's true. He's seen thousands of deaths and destructions.
Yeah, exactly.
On Fortnite.
He's become hardened to the traumatic experience that might occur when you see a boa constrictor in your street.
I think the core gameplay of Fortnite is 100 people, last one standing wins. That's extremely good training for the future apocalypse.
Yeah.
So I think
the kids are all right.
the kids are going to be all right.
The kids are going to be all right. I won't be all right. I'll probably immediately get murdered.
We'll be dead, but the kids are all right.
But that's okay. The kids are the future. So anyway, this is what the woman, Olivia Russet, said. It was exciting to see a non-native snake in the street, she said. I like that this, you know, seeing a native snake in the street, oh, that's nothing, you know. We see them every day.
Brown snakes hanging from traffic lights every fucking day, man.
But
There's
a
just so
non-native
many.
snake?
I was walking down the street and this red-bellied black snake came out and tried to bite me, and I was just like, that's some basic shit. I see those all
Come
the
on.
time.
But then there was a non-native snake and... Whoa.
I was walking down the street the other day and I saw a basilisk and I'm dead now.
Oh, I hope not so. But anyway, it's a good thing that all these people were protecting the snake from more cars, though. But this is what the woman said. She's like, it was quite a busy corner, so we were making sure cars didn't run over it.
What good folks.
Yeah, well, either these 50 people were just standing there gawking at the snake, or all the 50 people decided that together they would make a human shield to block the snake from oncoming traffic.
It can be two things at once.
Yeah. They were, like, blocking the snake, but that's why they were all, like, justifying standing there. They were like, yeah, I'm just here because, like, cars are coming, you know. We're here to protect the snake.
And also, I want to see it.
I want to look at it.
I want to look at the snake.
I want to put it on my Instagram that there is a bloody boa constrictor on the street.
I'm just going to continue on the subject of my childhood today. So,
Sure.
My family's house, the driveway is like 1 kilometre or so long, so they live sort of out of town on like a little hobby farm kind of thing.
Okay, that's lovely.
Yeah. So a couple 100 metres up this driveway, there's a very large cattle grid.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's a global thing, is a cattle grid. And Beneath this cattle grid would consistently be two very large, very poisonous brown snakes. And I used to catch the bus home from school. So I would then have to walk up the driveway, including over this cattle grid, which meant that every afternoon was like a life or death thrill as I, like, fucking ninja walked my way super slowly across this cattle grid so as to not spook the brown snakes into killing me.
Yeah, well, isn't that, like, growing up outside of the city in Australia? That's just kind of like...
Just a daily
the experience you live every day.
Yeah.
I mean, in the house that we kind of lived in for most of our time in Port Macquarie, there was this gigantic vacant block next door that had this really overgrown grass in it. And at this time of my life, well, I guess it's still currently now, we used to watch a lot of renovation TV shows, and, like, we wanted to do some building and construction work. So we'd take palm fronds that fall down, how they've got the spiky corners?
Yep.
So we'd take the spiky bits of palm fronds and try and cut down the trees in the vacant lot so we could...
Okay.
You just make, like, slight little gashes into the tree. You'd never be able to cut down a tree.
It's like trying to punch a tree over a decade.
Yeah, exactly. Just little bit by little bit. But anyway, in our, like, construction journeys, we'd have to, like, gather supplies inside the vacant lot. And there were a lot of snakes in there.
Oh.
I didn't actually encounter any in my grass movements, but I did on numerous occasions see our cat go into that grass and pull out snakes.
What a badass cat.
That cat lived for about 21 years.
What a dope cat. That's very old for cat.
It's a very metal cat.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is there's a big tree outside my apartment that I don't love. So what I'm going to do is every morning I'm going to wake up, before I have breakfast, before I have a shower, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to karate chop that tree 5 times.
Just a few times.
And if I do that for a long enough period of time consistently, that tree will fall down.
Eventually. And it will be because of your sheer impact from the karate chop.
Now, all of the bones in my hand will have shattered. But the tree will have also shattered, so it'll be worth it.
Actually, another little anecdote about that vacant lot. There was this area that was, like, really overgrown with trees and shrubbery, and in one of the, like, shrubberies, you could crawl in, and there was kind of, like, a little clearing in there, which someone had, like, set up, like, a little fort. And one day, we went in there, and my brother found a bottle with some, like, dank-looking water in there and a little hose poking out of it. And my brother took it out and we showed, like, our parents, and Mum was like, put that back, that's a bong. And as a child, I don't know what a bong is.
In case they want to get it.
I don't know what a bong is. I heard a bomb.
Oh, Jesus.
And for the longest time, as a child, I thought that some villain was out there putting bombs in the vacant lot.
Can I say that in that context, I love that your mum's attitude to "we found a bomb" is put it back where you found it and let's not talk about that anymore. Let's put that bomb away and let's hope nothing bad happens.
Yeah, basically. Just put that back and pretend you didn't found it. And as a child who thought I found a bomb, I was very happy to put that back because I didn't want some, like, cartoon villain coming after me for finding their bomb.
I also imagine you wouldn't want to explode.
No.
Can I give you a story?
Sure.
This is also a few weeks old, but I've been waiting to drop it in because I really enjoy it.
Okay, well, I'm excited for that then.
So, this is from the Western Australian. So, I'm not going to read the headline, but...
Okay.
A new destination marketing brand to bring visitors to Fremantle is just 3 words which state the obvious and cost the local council $300,000. Do you want to have a guess as what this slogan is?
So, for Fremantle?
Yeah, so this is the 3-word slogan for Fremantle. Cost $300,000 to have this produced.
Come to Fremantle?
Shockingly close. The answer is, this is Fremantle. was the slogan revealed last night by the city of Fremantle as part of a campaign that aims to attract Perth interstate and overseas crowds to the port city and fight back against the loss of small business and reports from shops of aggressive vagrants scaring away foot traffic.
This is Fremantle.
This campaign, which was 6 months in the making, will be run online, broadcast at Fremantle Dockers games, at Optus Stadium, and plastered on signs and banners throughout the city.
Oh no.
6 short videos have been created for the campaign, highlighting various things in Fremantle. Just one more sec.
What are the various things in Fremantle that are being highlighted?
Architecture, shopping, nightlife, live music, markets, and the beaches, all of which would be better focal points than the name.
Yeah, sure.
Mayor Brad Pettit said, "At first people might question what the slogan meant."
It's fairly clear. I don't think people are questioning. It's like you put a picture of Fremantle saying, "This is Fremantle." I don't think anyone's questioning what the slogan means.
But once seen in conjunction with the associated campaign videos and imagery, he thought it made sense.
So someone comes up and they pitch to the mayor, "So I want to make the slogan, 'This is Fremantle.'" He's like, "I don't get it."
What?
And then they show him a picture of Fremantle. Oh! The picture... The video is Fremantle.
It's a strong stake in the ground to say, "We are Fremantle, we are different, and we are proud of it," he said.
I mean... okay.
The campaign was developed by a group specially set up by the council called Destination Marketing Working Group, which is made up of community stakeholders such as local business representatives and Perth creative agency Juicebox.
What other ads is this Juicebox company behind?
I don't know, but I think this might be their best one.
They're also known for the "This is Nike" campaign.
Nike campaign.
Where it's just like a Nike tick and it says "This is Nike." And
they did
Philippines tourism video. That's
This is
just
Philippines?
"This is the Philippines."
They did "This is Australia," and that one wasn't as successful, unfortunately.
No, because it was a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Because they put a picture that didn't involve a kangaroo, and people were like, "What is that place? That's clearly not Australia."
A single brand is always going to be difficult when there is so much to tell. Fremantle's diversity alone is difficult to communicate unless you have an overarching brand.
An overarching brand that's just literally your name.
Ms. Wayman
With a demonstrative and the verb to be.
Ms. Wayman said that the previous campaign, Fremantle, be part of the story, was good, but engagement levels were lacking.
Okay.
And so apparently This is Fremantle's going to work way better.
Oh, yeah. Because basically people will be Googling, like, "Is this Fremantle? Question mark?
That would be a better slogan. Is this Fremantle?
Because then people have to engage to answer the questions. Like, you'd get a lot of comments because people were saying, "Yes, it is."
Yes, it is Fremantle, you dipshit. What is...
Now, I think if you want to, like, boost your social media engagement on any of your posts, the best way to do that is to put, like, a maths sum on it and say only geniuses can solve this maths puzzle, and then everyone in the universe will comment their answer in the comments box.
Alison...
And that's how you boost your engagement.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
Can I make...
And so they're like, "Is this Fremantle? Question mark. 2 + 2. Only geniuses can solve this maths puzzle. Post your answers in the comments," and everyone will post their answers.
And then I'll say the answer was friendship the whole time.
Yeah.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
I feel that the intro to our podcast has been getting a little bit stale.
Sure.
I would like to open every single podcast with saying either "This is the Red Menace" or "This is Fremantle."
This is Fremantle.
This is Fremantle.
Maybe it's supposed to be read out with the intonation of "This is Sparta" from hit movie Sparta.
The problem is that's going to involve a lot of me shouting, and I'm not super
Yeah, and I don't
into
want
that.
to do that, really.
So what if I just say "This is Fremantle" at the start of every episode with just like my normal intonation and just like just be chill about it?
Yeah, maybe. This is Fremantle.
This is Fremantle.
Now, I feel like this rebrand is almost as good as when... Do you remember when the University of Western Sydney changed their name to Western Sydney University, and in doing so, they did like a $20 million logo redesign, which is just like a really like basic clip art shield with a W in the middle.
They moved the W back they pressed backspace 2 times.
It's
Yeah.
If you don't know what the Western Sydney University logo looks like, just take a look and tell yourself, does this deserve $20 million?
For $20 million, I want like a cinematic universe. Like,
I want a Western Sydney University cinematic universe.
Yeah, I want them to make me fucking Western Sydney University, man, superhero film. Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
You could produce
Western Sydney University Infinity Wars.
You could produce like a season of television for that money. Like,
yeah, you could.
You could
produce a lot of television.
You could produce a mid-budget movie. You couldn't produce.
You could make like a funny rom-com about 2 students falling in love on campus at Western Sydney, and then everyone will go there.
You could produce 10% of Avengers Infinity War. And if you just pick the best 10% of that movie and then just make that'll be a way better advertising campaign.
Sure.
But
I like my idea better. I like that. I think they should make a rom-com, a hit rom-com.
Set in Western Sydney.
Set in Western Sydney University. And basically, the actors are kind of contractually obliged to say the words Western Sydney University at least once per minute. It gets like in people's heads.
All of the professors are played by Russell Crowe.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all different characters.
Oh yeah, Russell Crowe. Well,
it's a bit like a Chris Lilly thing there, because that's Australia's brand, right?
He's a thespian. He can play all of these characters.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's one like professor that's not him. And that professor's who the love interest is, because he's a little bit old for the love interest now.
Oh, see, I wasn't thinking that Russell Crowe was... So Russell Crowe's not the protagonist. He's just every supporting character.
No, he is, exactly. And so you know when the professor becomes the love interest, because it's not Russell Crowe. No. And that's the love interest professor.
The protagonist is like fucking Biff Hemsworth or something. But
yeah, Biff Hemsworth is the leading man. And every other professor is Russell Crowe. But because it's a cheap movie, they can't do the effects to make it look like Russell Crowe's standing with Russell Crowe. So they're just like
cut... It's all different shots.
They're like cut across the room. And it'll be like, the dialogue will be like hard cut to one Russell Crowe and then cut to the other Russell Crowe standing on the other side of the room.
And then they'll occasionally cut to a third Russell Crowe standing in the doorway looking wistful, watching the other Russell Crowes, because there is a subplot about how one of the Russell Crowes is in love with the main Russell Crowe.
Okay, I see.
So it's layered, right?
Yeah, it's layered. We've got to have, like, a bit of depth.
It is.
A bit of diversity, you know, because one of the Russell Crowes is attracted to another Russell Crowe.
And I've got to say, that kissing scene was very challenging to shoot because we did not have the budget for CGI.
You know that, like, pantomime, like, gag thing that you do as a kid where you just, like, rub your back with your hands and make kissing noises so it looks like you're, like, making out with yourself?
Russell Crowe doing that.
And it's just like the camera is just focusing on his back as he does that.
Russell Crowe, we can't afford the social network face swapping technology, so Russell, you're going to have to improvise. Also, we didn't finish the script in time. Good luck.
Please, can you say Western Sydney University at least once per line?
Once per line. Minimum 3 times a scene. Good luck, Russell. Thank you for your service.
Well, that's how, you know, if Western Sydney University, or any other university, for that matter, wants to buy our branding idea, you can. It's going to cost $20 million.
And if Russell Crowe wants to promote this podcast...
If you want to, like, dunk on this podcast on Twitter, like, roast us or something, that'd be really nice, because I feel like that will also give us a little bit of,
Russell,
exposure.
I'll say this. Someone recently told me they thought you were a very attractive man. So maybe just be nice to us and I'll introduce you to that person.
Who said that?
No, it was my girlfriend.
It's a bad thing to hear.
Yeah, no, Jess said that, and then she said that she liked me looking scruffy because it looked like Russell Crowe in Gladiator, and I had some feelings. So...
okay, fair enough, I see. At least it's like Russell Crowe in Gladiator, specifically... Not Russell Crowe making a racist rant in a
No, I think it's the look of Russell Crowe, not the personality.
Okay, all right. That's
I don't
good.
think she's interested in the personality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Russell, if you are going to promote our podcast, it would be good if you could do it without saying any epithets.
Yeah, no slurs, please.
No slurs. We try and keep this show pretty slur-free. The only slurs we have are against Russells.
And Biff Hemsworth.
We love Biff Hemsworth. He's our favourite Hemsworth.
Yeah, but we're using slurs in relation to Biff. Like, Hemsworth is a kind of a slur at this point against Australians.
That is true, actually. Because it makes foreigners think we all have that sort of a body. And I hate to break it to you, we don't.
And then when I present myself,
and they're like,
looking a little bit more Rebel Wilson than Chris Hemsworth.
When I present my gelatinous body, they're just kind of like, it's not the same.
It's not a Hemsworth, no. It's quite a different creature, in fact.
I think we've hit time. Do we want to wrap up?
We've hit time. Yeah, why not?
All right, so we don't really have a final pun this week, but we'll do some housekeeping instead, because that's super fun and cool.
Because I've been doing that all day, basically.
Well, fair.
I found an entire realm of dust under my bed, which I believe could be toxic and causing me to be quite delirious right this moment, so...
Well, I mean, you have seemed particularly wild tonight, Alison.
Yeah, it's the dust.
Yeah. So, due to Alison's impending leaving the country, in
a few days.
A few days.
Actually, when this podcast is released, it will be on the day. On the day that this episode is released, I will be leaving the country.
And I'm very sad to see you go, obviously. My mum apparently is very sad to see you go, in spite of having never met you, which is weird.
Well,
but...
that's great.
Yeah. Podcasts, parasocial relationships are cool, kids. Look it up.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my fans are sad to see me go.
So, basically for the next 2 weeks, we cannot really guarantee what our publishing schedule would be like. Mm-hmm. Kind of just follow us on Twitter, and I'll update as to whether or not we'll have episodes up. We will try, but we really can't guarantee whether or not it'll be possible.
The episodes will be continuing.
They will be.
They will be.
It just might take a week or two.
I think the problem at the first couple of weeks is that I will be staying in hotels, and that may be involving staying in a room with people who are not me.
They might
not appreciate podcast recording when they're trying to sleep.
Participate in a podcast.
Yeah. But after we move on from the hotel rooms into a more less hotel room accommodation where I can have my own space to record the podcast in, it will continue.
And also I'd like to apologise for the frankly embarrassing state of last week's podcast.
You're just preparing them for what's to come.
Look, no, I think, okay, I'll say this. It would be challenging for it to be worse. And you know what? That one's on me. Because I used a 9-year-old portable microphone. I did not test it beforehand. And let's just say I had to perform some very aggressive noise reduction on the audio. And I sound like I'm in a 1930s radio underwater. And
well, that's kind of an aesthetic, isn't it?
It is, but I also wouldn't blame anyone who skipped last week's episode.
Yeah.
But this week's I'll actually promote, because I think unless my microphone fucks up.
And it's like we haven't been recording this entire time.
Oh god, I'd die. It's so late, I'm so tired. Okay. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for sticking with us through what might be a kind of bumpy period, but
tumultuous period.
We will come out on the other side of it and continue to make jokes about butts, about like butts and flies and stuff.
Yeah, and I'll endeavour to bring more sweat bees to the table.
When we started this show, we said that we would reach 69 episodes as a minimum, and
it's still going to happen.
We are gonna get there if it kills us.
We will get there, and it won't kill us.
No, I believe it won't. Whether we continue past 69 episodes will depend on our level of health.
By that stage, yeah, we'll do it. But I think there should be an episode next week. I should be able to record next week.
If we make it to 420 episodes, something will have truly gone wrong.
Yeah, I would... Well... Yeah, all right.
Or very, very right, but frankly,
very.
That seems unlikely.
One or the other.
69 seems more feasible.
42 episodes... 420 episodes
42,
is...
We're one away from 42. So...
Well, that's a good number. But 420, how many years is that?
That's like 8-9 years of podcast.
Yeah, that's...
It's a considerable amount of podcast.
It's a long time.
Let me put it this way. I will be in my mid-30s by the time we do that podcast.
And I'll be about 84.
You'll be dead.
I'll be like a corpse at that point.
You'll have had to have adopted a child and had that child take up your mantle. So I'll be podcasting with like a 10-year-old, and it's going to be really frustrating.
Well, by that time, there would be no child labour laws because we will have all normalised child labour through YouTubers, and so it will be allowed for that to happen.
Fuck yeah! Let's make this capitalist system bigger and better. It's going to be great fun for everyone.
Capitalism 2.0.
Love it. Super excited about that.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for listening, and I'll see you at the end times.
Ciao for now.